Today we shall talk about faults in geology. So, faults. In structural geology, a fault is a stack of originally planar surfaces such as sedimentary strata that are bent or curved during permanent deformation. So basically faults are features formed due to the pressing of rocks which were originally flat to form undulations or waves in rocks. Faults in rocks vary in size from microscopic crinkles to mountain-sized faults. They occur as a single isolated fault or in periodic sets known as fault trains. So in this picture you can see a fault of two layers of limestone and chert. Many layers of limestone and chert alternately. The limestone and chert were originally deposited at flat layers on the floor of a deep sea basin. So these layers of limestone and chert were originally flat layers, but they were pressed to form the waves in rocks. These faults were created by alpine deformation or during the formation of alpine mountain range. When a body of rock, especially sedimentary rock, is squeezed from the sides by tectonic forces, it is likely to fracture or become faulted if it is cold and brittle, or become folded if it is warm enough to behave in a plastic manner. So, if the rocks were in a slightly plastic state, the faults are formed. If they were in a brittle or cold state, they fracture. So during this squeezing from the two sides, the rocks may either fracture or form faults depending on their nature. An upward fault is called anticline, while a downward fault is called a syncline. In many areas, it is common to find a series of anticlines and synclines, although some sequences of rocks are folded into a single anticline or syncline. A plane drawn through the crest of a fault in a series of beds is called the axial plane of the fault. So these are the basic terms related with the faults: anticline, syncline, axial plane, limb, etc. So anticline is an upward fault. So here you can see an upward fault. Syncline is a downward fault. So this is a downward fault. And what is an axial plane? Axial plane is a plane passing through the highest point of the anticline or the lowest point on the syncline. So here also we can have an axial plane, not only for anticline, we can have axial plane for syncline also. So for syncline, axial plane is a plane passing through the lowest point on the syncline. So limb is another term related with a fault. So limb is a sloppy surface on either side of the axial plane. In the case of synclines also we have limb. And also in this picture it is marked that this is a symmetrical anticline and this second one is a asymmetric anticline and the third one is an overturned anticline. So if the anticline is having limbs having same slopes on either side of the axial plane, so both the limbs are having almost the same slope, then it is called a symmetrical anticline. So the second one is as an asymmetric anticline because both the limbs are having different slopes. So this limb is having a slope less than the limb on the other side. That is why this is called an asymmetrical anticline. So here it is an overturned anticline if the limb is almost vertical on one side. So here you can see the limb on the right side of the axial plane is almost vertical. So in these cases, it is called an overturned anticline. And also the axial plane is much tilted in this third case. An anticline or syncline is described as symmetrical if the angles between each limb and the axial plane are generally similar, and asymmetrical if they are not. If the axial plane is sufficiently tilted that the beds on one side of the axial plane have been tilted past vertical, the fault is known as the overturned anticline or syncline. So the third type is isocline. It is a very tight fault in which the limbs are parallel or nearly parallel to one another. So here in this picture you can see an isoclinal fault. So the axial plane may be passing through like this, and the limbs are nearly parallel to each other. You can see here this limb and this limb are nearly parallel. Similarly, this limb and this limb are nearly parallel because the axial plane is very much tilted. So these type of faults are known as isoclinal fault. Isoclinal faults that have been overturned to the extent that their limbs are nearly horizontal are called recumbent faults. If the limbs are almost horizontal, the axial plane is so tilted that the limbs are almost horizontal, then they are called recumbent faults. So another term related with the fault is a fault hinge or hinge line. The fault hinge is the line joining the points of maximum curvature on a folded surface. You can see the hinge line or fault hinge here. So it is a line joining all the uppermost points on the fault, uppermost points on the anticline. In the case of synclines, hinge line may be joining all the lowermost point on the fault. So this line may be either straight or curved. The term hinge line has also been used for this feature. So this feature may be called as hinge line, and this area, this zone containing the hinge, fault hinge is known as hinge zone, and you can see the limbs and the axial plane. And when we talk about the size of the faults, faults may have microscopic size to very large sizes even in kilometers. Faults can be of any size, and it is very common to have smaller faults within larger faults. Larger faults can have wavelengths of tens of kilometers, and very small ones might be visible only under a microscope. So here you can see a fault of alternate layers of limestone and chert. Limestone is grey in color and the layer of chert is rust colored. Faulted rocks get eroded just like any other rocks, and the topography that results is typically controlled mostly by the resistance of different layers to erosion. So this is an eroded fault, and you can see the topography of this terrain. So the topography of a fault depends on the resistance of each layer to the erosion. Now, the mechanism of faulting. Faults in the rocks are formed about the stress field in which the rocks are located and the rheology or method of response to stress of the rock at the time at which the stress is applied. So, the process of faulting mainly depends on two factors. One is the applied stress, and the second one is the rheological behavior of the rock. Rheological behavior is nothing but the elastic behavior of the rock, or how much the material has resistance to deformation. That is called a rheological behavior. The rheology of the layers being faulted determines the characteristic features of the faults that are measured in the field. So the size or many characteristic features of the faults depends on the rheological behavior. Rocks that deform more easily form many short wavelength high amplitude faults. So rocks that are having less resistance to deformation, or they can be easily pressed, they form many short wavelength high amplitude faults as shown in this first figure. So these type of rocks can be pressed easily and they form short wavelength high amplitude waves. Whereas the second type of rocks that are having very good resistance to deformation, they form faults that are having a long wavelength short amplitude faults as shown in this second picture. Now, economic implication or faults imply what in our economy? So, in mining industry, layers of rock that fall into a hinge need to accommodate large deformations in hinge zone. This results in voids between the layers. These voids, especially the fact that the water pressure is lower in the voids than outside of them, act as triggers for the deposition of minerals. So, large faults contain voids between their layers, and these voids contain minerals. Over millions of years, this process is capable of gathering large quantities of trace minerals from large expanses of rocks and depositing them at very concentrated sites. So these voids contain concentrations of minerals. This may be a mechanism that is responsible for the veins. To summarize, when searching for veins of valuable minerals, it might be wise to look for highly faulted rocks. And this is the reason why the mining industry is very much interested in the theory of geological faulting. Second one is oil industry. Anticlinal traps are formed by folding of rocks. For example, if a porous sandstone unit covered with a low permeability shale is folded into an anticline, it may contain hydrocarbons trapped in the crest of the fold. Most anticlinal traps are created as a result of sideways pressure faulting the layers of rock, but can also occur from sediments being compacted. So these anticlinal traps are very useful for hydrocarbon industry, and these anticlinal traps containing a lot of hydrocarbons are called even petroleum traps. So this is all about the faults in geology. Thank you.